where MAGA comes to talk. The show will begin shortly. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Oh, we have so much to cover today. Okay. Oh, yes. I'm going to get the mainstream going in a minute. You know, what Trump is doing with Venezuela, this should have been done decades ago. We haven't had a president who had the guts or the interest in doing what has to be done with the biggest threat to this country, and that, of course, is Latin America. You know, if you look at foreign-based problems, Latin America is where most of our problems come from, right? The drugs, the illegals, everything. Now, to see and hear the audio and video that I play, you got to go to my mainstream, which I just linked in the description. I'm going to start that up in just a couple moments. And then we'll get that going. Welcome, everyone. Oh, yes, this is where MAGA comes to talk, no doubt about that. I'm just getting a couple things ready, and then we're going to start. All right. Okay, welcome everyone. If you're new, this is no doubt where MAGA comes to talk. All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to start the mainstream now. Now, like I said, to see and hear the audio and video, you need to go to the mainstream here on YouTube, which is linked in the description. Welcome to the Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome one and all this Monday after Thanksgiving, Cyber Monday they call it. Boy, oh boy, President Trump, we're going to talk about the incident in D.C. last week with the guardsmen, which I covered over the weekend, but I know a lot of you were not around over the weekend celebrating Thanksgiving and travel and such. So I'm going to go through that, and there's been some big developments with that, which we'll cover. But I want to start with what President Trump's doing with Venezuela and Maduro. You know, this is what the United States should have been doing decades ago what President Trump is doing with Venezuela, with the cartels, with South America. We haven't had a president before Trump that had the guts or even the interest to even attempt to do what it is he's doing. And that is to rein in and get under control the biggest threat to this country when you look outside of our borders. And it's not Europe, it's not Russia, it's not the CCP, it's none of that. It's Latin America, all of it. From Mexico down as far south as you can go in Chile, and maybe even a little south, maybe some islands south of there that are, I don't know if they're part of Chile or not. But if it's Latin America, it's a problem to this country. There's not a single portion of Central or South America. I know Mexico is part of North America, but you know what I mean. There's not a part of Central or South America, of Latin America, that's not a problem for this country. And we have gone to multi-decade-long wars around the world. And if you look at the deaths of Americans at the hands of the drug cartels alone, I don't know what that number is, because I don't even know if it's possible to calculate, because it's not just overdoses, it's crime victims of those who committed a crime to get some money, to get high, car accidents, all kinds of things. More Americans have been killed because of the Latin American drug cartels than in all of the wars we've been in combined, I promise you. In fact, if you added up all the deaths with every war and every attack that led to us being at war, it would not come close to the number of Americans that have been killed because of the drug cartels. And that's not even including Invasion USA with the illegals that's been going on forever. And we have the Monroe Doctrine, which prevents foreign influence in the Western Hemisphere, which gives President Trump the mandate he needs, because the cartels obviously are working with America's enemies. You know, those of you that are obsessed with Russia, Russia's the biggest threat ever. Well, maybe if you're Ukrainian. But Russia has been working in Latin America, causing us problems, not just with Cuba, but with Venezuela for many years. We know that the CCP has been working with the cartels for years. And who knows what other foreign interests are involved in Latin America. But President Trump is doing something that, on his list of things that I call universally good, there's so many things that President Trump is doing that a credible person could not even attempt to disagree with. So this is being reported by Fox News, the Miami Herald, and elsewhere. President Trump had a phone conversation with Maduro. Here's the headline. Trump gave Maduro ultimatum to flee Venezuela as land operations loom. Venezuelan dictator reportedly asked for global amnesty and military control before talks stalled. You don't talk with this guy. There's no talking with Maduro. He's a dictator. You know, you liberals out there, you're always obsessing over dictators. Problem is, you call freedom fighters and duly elected people dictators, and the real dictators, well, you love the real dictators like Maduro. And, you know, shutting down the drug cartels is not just for us. I mean, we're the main benefactor directly as Americans, keep the drugs out of here. But Latin America is being held hostage by these cartels. Their governments are run by the drug dealers. The governments, very few of them, if any, are legitimate governments. You know, in this country, we have all these special interests people talk about, right? Yeah, liberals are obsessed with the Israel lobby, AIPAC, right? You got the gun lobby, Christians, the labor unions, Planned Parenthood, you know, the Federal Workers Union, right? SCIU. We have all these special interests that have influence over who gets elected in this country, right? We talk about it, we gripe about it. In Latin America, they basically have one special interest group. It's the drug cartels. And most of these presidentes down there are figureheads of the drug cartels. And that goes for Mexico, not just Maduro. So bringing down the drug cartels is one of the best things any American president has ever done so far as action against another country to protect us in this country. You know, how many people die a day because of the cartels? More than 9/11? Are we having like a 9/11 every day because of the drug cartel? There's so much death and destruction from the drugs beyond just the drug user themselves. I think it's impossible to put a number on it. But who could be against this? Well, Trump derangement syndrome suffering lunatics, that's who. Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. This is the early pre-show. And I remind you guys, this early show is brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. We're in a new month now. The Cyber Monday super sale is in effect at MyPillow.com. The money-back guarantee has been extended through March 1st, holy smokes, of 2026. With my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com, there are huge savings. Look at this. This Cyber Monday sales. MyPillow towel sets just $39.98. The Giza Dream Sheets, $29.98. Those are usually over $100. The 5-pack MyPillow Bible Story pillows, the duvet covers, the slippers. Look at all these great specials. You can use my promo code KANE at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. And you can see the specials are going site-wide. Look at this. Blankets, comforters, duvet covers, as low as $25 each with my promo code KANE at checkout. Let me see here. Hold on. I'm having all kinds of problems today. Okay. Here we go. All right. Look at this. The kitchen towel and accessories, the MyPillow My Cross, 50% off. The MyPillow Energy Drink is amazing. The Rev 7, you get that 3-pack for free. Save up to 30% off. Just so much. And you can use my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, on all the specials at MyPillow.com. And we're in a new month that I've told you guys this early portion pre-show before the radio show is brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. So it's real important for you guys to show Mike Lindell that his sponsorship is money well spent. So go to MyPillow.com, do your Christmas shopping on this Cyber Monday with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. And I'm going to have a meeting at the end of the month. They're going to let me know if they're going to continue for the next year. So please go to MyPillow.com, do your Christmas shopping with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, not just for huge savings, but of course to support the expansion of the program. Because if I can if the sales are good this month, getting them locked in for the whole next year, that's a done deal. All right. So MyPillow.com, promo code KANE. All right. Let's take some calls. And I know I'm not the only one who's excited that the war on drugs is for real. We're going to stop the poison drugs from being imported into our country from Latin America. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, hold on one moment. All right, let's go. All right, yep, hold on. Yep, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Mark Torres, sir. How you doing?
All right, Mark in Las Vegas. What's on your mind?
Man, a lot of things are going on nowadays, so I'm trying to really figure it out. I'm MAGA, so I wasn't sorry to tell you I'm not like a liberal or nothing like that,
Okay.
But so I'm kind of getting sick and tired of seeing people like try to say it's not a both sides issue kind of thing. When it's very particularly obviously the left is very violent nowadays, and a lot of people I'm so sick of hearing January 6th. January 6th, you know what?
All right, I appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
We haven't really won a war since World War II. They redefined.
What are you talking about? We won the war. We won the war in Iraq.
Well, yeah, but
I don't think we didn't win the war. We did not win in Afghanistan because the people that knocked down the buildings run the country again, and we have a Muslim mayor of New York, so we lost the war. I guess we lost the whole war on terror by that definition. Yeah, maybe you're right. We won the war. We won the war in Grenada, if we want to include that.
Yeah, and when they would define the war as a police action, right? That's how they get around us winning wars. Now, this war on the drugs, Trump is bound and determined to win this war. He's bound and determined. And he is going to win this war, and he's going to have help, particularly from Malay and Argentina.
Well, it looks
and other
like
places.
It looks like I think we've already won it. I mean, you know, when he shut down the border and then started blowing these drug boats out of the water, their importation of drugs into the United States has to be down like 70-80% at least.
And yeah, and you mentioned like 2 days ago, whatever it was, about this call you had a few weeks ago about how the inflation on the illegal drugs has went up, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know, and so that's a big deal. That helps people to just say no. Yeah, the old Nancy Reagan thing, just say no. You know,
that's right.
And that's the thing. And look, if Maduro doesn't want to leave, again, he's got one of two things: you leave or you die.
Well, I like how Maduro. By the way, thanks for the call, Mike. I like how Maduro has all these conditions. I want global amnesty. What are you talking about? Global amnesty, right? He wants global amnesty, so he can't be prosecuted anywhere, and all the billions of dollars that he's got socked away in Swiss bank accounts or whatever, he can go and live like a king somewhere. The guy's got a lot of. He's insane, is what Maduro is. Here's the president on Air Force One last night. Talking about the phone call with Maduro. Yeah, it was a phone call. It was a phone call. I love how they think I don't blame him for asking the questions. But they think President Trump is going to give them classified information. At the top of the hour, when the radio show starts, I'm going to go into what happened in D.C., which I covered over the weekend. But I want to cover everything that happened in D.C. on Wednesday with the Guardsmen because a lot of people were off over the weekend and not following the news, and people are coming back from vacation today. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the numbers pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631. You know, one of the things President Trump did a lot over the weekend, right? Closed down the airspace over Venezuela, which shows us that there's going to be some military action. But also, he's shutting down all migration into the United States, or immigration, or refugees, whatever you want to call them, from third world countries, which is like almost all of it, right? And he's talking about doing a lot of deportations, in particular from Somalia and Afghanistan. And Ilhan Omar, who's from Somalia, she was on television. Listen to her. This is wild. This is Ilhan Omar. Oh, really? She can go live with everybody. You know, right there, yeah, another example showing you and showing us that in her heart and in her mind, she's not one of us, meaning she's not an American, because she doesn't care if she's here or not. You know, Ilhan Omar very well could find her citizenship invalidated. The president has extraordinary powers on this, which he talked about. I'm going to get into that in a little bit on the program. But what we're seeing, you know, if you watch like foreign news, whoever the president is, they refer to them as the American president, the president of the United States. And other than Trump, we've never had a president for this country. You know, all these fake MAGA people, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, I don't support Trump because I'm America first. It doesn't get more America first than the actions President Trump's been taking over the Thanksgiving weekend. Taking the war to the drug cartels yet again, shutting down airspace over Venezuela, shooting the boats out of the water, shutting down the third world importation of refugees into the country. It doesn't get more America first than the things he's doing. But these people who claim their only opposition to Trump is that they're America first and he's not. What America are you talking about? The United States of America first, or like South America first, right? You know, what he's doing with Maduro, the cartels, and stopping the third world importation of illegals is pretty hardcore America first. And that is as America first as you could get. There's no getting around it. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, there's a lot more to share. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you're watching with the green wall behind me, if you go to my main stream, you can see and hear, you get the green screen effect. You get to see and hear all the video, the links in the description. Yeah, okay, now we're back. Welcome, everyone. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll get to the calls in a bit. So much has happened. This is the busiest news Thanksgiving weekend I've ever experienced in my entire career. One of the big complaints that Never Trumpers have are food prices. And they seem to forget that the Chinese have been buying up farmland all over this country. Not just farmland. Some of the beef processing centers are owned by foreign interest. And what they've been doing is driving up the price of food. And it's not that difficult to do. You know, if you don't produce a crop, if the crop doesn't grow like it should, and it's easy to make that happen, pretty much everything I plant dies, I'll tell you that, you know. But you're affecting the price of food. The reason beef is so high, I believe, is the Chinese own some of these processing plants. There's no doubt about it. And they drive up the cost of food, not just to cause problems with the food supply, interfere with that in the economy, but it also causes political unrest. And the idea that the Chinese or any foreign entity could own farmland is insane. It is a national security risk that we're experiencing right now. So this is an interesting, I'm going to play this clip. Here we have the Secretary of Agriculture, and behind her is the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security. Yep. That's right. Okay. And there's a couple additions to this, because this was a little while ago, and there's been two additions. One, the president has that's President Trump, our favorite president. President Trump has the Justice Department looking into the beef prices. And I'm here to tell you that they're going to find that there are foreign interests, probably China, that own parts of the beef processing system that's driving up the price. There's another thing that was just announced yesterday. The Treasury Department and the Justice Department are going to be looking into these LLC and large cash purchases of real estate that's been going on, which has been affecting not just housing prices, but housing vacancies for both rental and ownership in the country. You know, this country has been under attack by our enemies in ways that has never been done before. And Chinese people are smart people. Do you know any Chinese Americans? I do. And some of the smartest people I've known in my entire life are Chinese Americans. They may not even have been born in China. Maybe their parents were, but maybe they were too. Chinese people are very, very smart. And the CCP war against the United States is on a level that very few people understand. You know, as an example, one thing I talked about a couple years ago, I haven't talked about it so much, TikTok. This whole trans thing that's going on in this country and globally, but this whole trans thing was started through TikTok. The CCP, what they would do is if trans people, the Gen Z, millennials too, but Gen Z's worse, all they care about is their view count and likes and retweet, all that stuff. And what the CCP was doing on TikTok, if someone was trans and did some trans video, next thing you knew, they had 1 million followers on TikTok, and they were getting seen by millions of people every video they made. So what happened? That view-crazed Gen Z generation all started going trans so they could get popular on TikTok. That is true, okay? That is true. That's how the whole trans thing has been started. All of a sudden, we've got all these transgender people. Give me a break, right? How long have humans existed? And all of a sudden, every other person's transgender. BS. It was pushed through the CCP with TikTok, and no one even talks about that except me. The food prices, the beef and food we grow, the prices of food have been inflated by the Chinese ownership of farmland and meat production facilities in this country, driving the price up. No doubt about it. The drugs in this country, the illegal prescription drugs, fentanyl in particular, is manufactured at pharmaceutical plants in China, brought to Latin America on the Pacific coast, and then trafficked by the cartels into the United States. This country, has been under attack in ways that are insanely brilliant by the enemy, the CCP, but most Americans don't even realize it. People think about, the Cold War, the old ways. There's a new way going on here that is crazy, and it's been very, very successful, right? And some of the main issues that we're dealing with in this country, the drugs, the trans issue, food prices, all of that is a result of China and their attacks on this country. Their attacks on this country in these propaganda things that I've been sharing with you is the most effective attacks that this country has ever experienced. It's pretty frightening too. But you guys are aware of it. I'm aware of it. But we got to make sure that more people are. We've got so much to cover on the program today. Well, I got to look up one piece of audio from over the weekend that I want to share. When the radio show starts after 6, I'm going to cover everything that happened with the D.C. National Guard incident on Wednesday. I covered that on 2 podcasts over the weekend, if you guys caught that. But most people have been off work for Thanksgiving and didn't hear any of that. So I want to go through that because it's very important. The Maduro Venezuela story is huge, and of course the national. It was reported. I read this morning that the surviving guardsman is expected to make it now. It was reported this morning. Hopefully that holds true. There's one clip that I'm looking for. I played over the weekend, but I'm going to play this on the radio. All of my show prep is on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. If you follow, you get all my show prep, not just the things I cover, but the things I never have time to get to. Okay, I'm getting close to it now. There it is. Okay. There's that one. There's that one. Okay. All right, and we got a few minutes till the top. If you're on hold, hang in there. Oh, welcome. Been a member for a year. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, time does go by fast. Yeah. Oh, by the way, those of you that are Patreon supporters of mine, I had a Patreon exclusive live stream late yesterday afternoon, and I left it up there. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you guys can check that out. And if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all my podcasts, a bunch of other perks that only Patreon people have access to, plus the Patreon-only live streams that I do, which are available only to Patreon supporters, and they are completely troll-free. And it's a live stream like I do here on YouTube, like the vertical live stream, except it's on the Patreon platform exclusively. Okay. Hold on a second. Okay. Wow. Mike's at the radio station early. He texted me a couple minutes ago. Mike is at the radio station early today. We are ready to go. And guys, remember this early show. I guess I've been doing this now for about 3 months. It's been sponsored by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. It's the first of this new month. And I'm working really hard to make this a permanent thing to sponsor the early expansion I've done of the program, and it's brought to you by MyPillow. So please go to mypillow.com. Use my promo code Kane at checkout. Do your Christmas shopping. Plenty of time to do your Christmas shopping. And let Mike Lindell know that his support of the program is money well spent. So they'll, huge Cyber Monday sales going on. So I can lock down that year-long sponsorship deal after the 1st. I can't believe it. The 1st will be here. It's going to be 2026, man. Trump's been back for almost a year. You know? Isn't it great? I mean, we're getting so spoiled, aren't we? With this great president who's doing all of these great things for us, huh? I mean, what Trump is doing is amazing times infinity. This second term of his is just total perfection, isn't it? Oh yeah, it is. If you're new, my name's Brian, and I host a morning radio show. We're going to be on the air in about 4 minutes. And I also I'm on a bunch of FM radio stations, and I live stream here on YouTube while I'm on the air. But I start the show 30 to 45 minutes early every day, just here online, covering the issues of the day. And then the radio show starts, and let's see what time. Okay, we got about 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes exactly until the radio show. So if you're on hold, stand by. I'm not going to take any calls now, but if you're on hold, you can lock your place in. But what I'm going to cover at the top is the attack in D.C., which I did 2 podcasts about this over the weekend, and it was a deep state op. It was. I mean, it's as clear as the day is long, and these never Trumpers, they just won't leave him alone. You know, it's really crazy when you think about it, because if they would have just left Trump alone, he would be approaching a year into his retirement, right? His second term would have been over. Who knows who would have been president today? And he'd be out of their hair, except for, rallies and endorsing candidates. And even still today, they just can't leave the guy alone. They're these never Trumpers and deep staters and political establishment people are so power hungry. They're spoiled children, right? And it's really scary that these lunatics have been running the country our whole lives, outside of the times we've had Trump in office, because they're so stupid, right? All these permanent Washington class people are stupid. And they're making Trump more popular and more powerful all the time because of their all their stupidity. And they just don't get it, do they? You know what? They never will. They never will. They'll never get it. They'll never understand it. I think people have cabin fever today because my phone is blowing up. That's what happens, right? People get a long weekend. Everyone does Thanksgiving. I still have some pumpkin pie. I think I have 1 piece of pumpkin pie left. Let's see. It's interesting. All right. A little more than 2 minutes, and we'll be back. And when we start live, I got to open the show, and I'm going to go over the D.C. incident. I don't most of you agree that the D.C. guard incident was a deep state op? No doubt in my mind that it was a deep state op. No question. Nope. Yeah, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to open up, cover that, some other things, and then I'll eventually get to the calls. Less than 2 minutes, about 90 seconds-ish, and we'll be live. Yeah, it looks, some of these things, they are what they look like, and it's so obvious. Let's see. All right. Yeah, we have 1 minute and we'll be live. 1 minute. I have a busy day and a busy week. This is a crazy week. It's such a busy week for me, I don't even want to think about it. Because if I think about it, I'll be overwhelmed. I got to actually make some notes. These are some cool notepads I got from Jupiter Joe Thomas. So I got to make some notes on everything I've got to do this week. All right, here we go. 30 seconds. 30 seconds until showtime. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Celebrating 49 years on the radio. It is the Monday after Thanksgiving. We have so much to discuss, so much to cover. I'm going to get into what's going on with Trump and Venezuela and Maduro. There's been a lot of developments on the Russia-Ukraine war. And, the one thing that's strange to me about the Russian-Ukraine war is Marco Rubio was involved in talks in Florida, but the talks were in Hollandale. Who would have ever thought there would be historic talks in the city of Hollandale? I mean, it's just bizarre. Bizarre. I wonder, when Marco's there, does he have to deal with all that traffic that I deal with when I drive through Hollandale? You ever go down Hollandale Beach Boulevard? Between US 1 and I-95, it's a nightmare. But history is being made as the Russian-Ukraine war negotiations carry on in Hollandale. I wish Neil Rogers were around today. Remember that song he wasted away? What was the song he did in Hollandale? I can't remember about how nothing happens in Hollandale. Anybody remember that? What was the name of the Neil Rogers song about Hollandale? But anyway, we have a lot to cover. What I'm going to start with today is this D.C. shooting that happened the Wednesday before Thanksgiving with the two guardsmen. One killed, the other, it was reported this morning, is expected to live, which is good news. But I want to talk about what I think happened. And those of you that follow me online, I covered this over the weekend multiple times. And what's happened with this D.C. shooting, this was not some lone gunman, okay? This Afghan terrorist. It was reported almost immediately after the shooting that he had worked with the CIA in Afghanistan. And immediately when I heard that, I knew exactly what had happened. And then it came out on Saturday that the Afghan terrorist of D.C., his brother worked for the CIA as well, and his brother actually was a platoon leader for what was called a CIA platoon in Afghanistan. Now, I was not even aware that the CIA had platoons of soldiers, but they do, and the shooter's brother was a platoon leader of one of them. This was a deep state operation. It's part of the operation, the BBB operation, Bring Back Bush. Remember, it's been about a little more than 2 weeks now since it was reported that the Bush family are making a move to take control of the Republican Party after Trump's second term. And this Bring Back Bush operation that's going on right now began, in my view, my opinion, with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which has done incredible damage to the MAGA movement. But this shooting in D.C. of the Guardsmen, this did not turn, it came about 2 weeks after that Congressman Traitor's CIA video, right? Remember the first woman in it, the senator, the CIA senator, a naval intelligence member of the House, Kelly, I forgot who else is in it, but it was a deep state video. No doubt about it. Everyone agrees about this. And the shooting, of all the Afghans, of all the Muslims in America, the one that did the shooting of the Guardsmen in D.C., traveled across the country to do it, just happens to be a guy who worked for the CIA in Afghanistan, and his brother too? Come on. Come on. And what they thought was going to happen is they were going to have a Kent State 2. Remember the Kent State? Now, a lot of you that are liberally impaired don't know about Kent State. You can do some Googling. Whatever you Google and read will not be the true story. But Kent State, where the Guardsmen, you'll hear, that shot those students dead, what's left out of the story is that the National Guardsmen at Kent State were being attacked by the college students. They were being attacked by the students. Now, again, I'm not justifying what the Guardsmen did, but I'm also not condemning it, okay? They were under attack. They were throwing things at the Guardsmen, and they fired. That part's left out of the official history, and it's because it doesn't fit the narrative. But Kent State was a big turning point in this country, with some of the most iconic photographs ever. The girl crying on the, underneath. It's a sad thing. But it had a major impact over this country during the Vietnam War, and still has impact today, Kent State. And that's what they were trying to create in D.C., where this shooting happened, walking distance from the White House. It's a big tourist area, and people are getting off work early on Wednesday to start the long Thanksgiving weekend that work there. And what they didn't count on was the highly trained National Guardsmen that took this Afghan terrorist CIA operative down before he could kill more people. And what they thought was going to happen was that there would be a firefight between the National Guard and this deep state terrorist, Afghan national. And because it was such a busy area at such a busy time, that there would be collateral damage, meaning civilians would have gotten shot. And they would assumed that civilians would have gotten shot by the National Guardsmen in a firefight. That didn't happen, but that's what they were counting on happening. And then public opinion would turn against President Trump. And this is as obvious can be. Everybody sees this. And I know many people, the few that are news people that were around over the weekend, I know were covering this. It's gone beyond sedition inside the military. They're trying to create a revolution in this country, a color revolution against President Trump. And if you look at everything the lawfare and deep state have done to President Trump, with the exceptions of Butler, the golf course, and a couple of other things, most everything they've done against Trump in this over 10 years of harassment of our great president is always an attempt to try to turn public opinion against him. And they thought that if they had Kent State 2 in the streets of D.C. with the National Guard, that over Thanksgiving weekend, people would be horrified over the Thanksgiving dinner table. And by today, on Cyber Monday, the American people would be demanding that President Trump remove the National Guard wherever he has them deployed in American cities and not send any more Guard troops in to other American cities. They were wrong, because the Guard are very well trained and reacted and took the guy down before things got too out of control. Although we lost the female guardsman, she was murdered by this deep state operation. And Trump is more popular than he was Wednesday morning because people see what's going on. And just to make my case here, this clip, this is the CIA senator a month before the attack in D.C. I'm going to play this, and then what she says at the end is chilling. Listen. Does every time she opens up her mouth, the first words out of her mouth as a CIA officer, she's got to tell you every time. You know what I don't get about this? Why does she think that makes her look good? That just pisses people off. But, you know, she's in another world than we're in. Okay, now this was a month before the attack on Wednesday. So really what this is what I would call predictive programming, right? She's predicting this happening. All right, I'll talk more about this after the break. We'll be right back. Okay. My main stream went down, so I gotta start a new stream there. I don't know why that happened the other day too. I'm starting up the new stream. 26. Mm. I'm having problems. Not sure why. I gotta reboot my computer. I lost my connection, my internet connection. I gotta reboot everything. It happens sometimes. Because I'm not at the radio station. It happens. Okay. Okay. Trying to get back connected. All right, we are back. Okay. Sorry, guys, we had some technical issues on this Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday wasn't, we're not doing too good on the cyber today. We lost our connection, but we are back up and running. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. So we got disconnected and lost our connection, and I don't know I don't know how much of what I went through you all heard or not, because I don't know when we went off the air. So I'm going to have to go through a lot of that over again because it's important. And I don't want you to miss it. So, like I said, I don't know what part you heard, what part you didn't, but I'm going to go through it all again because this is very important on this Monday after Thanksgiving. Because what's going on in this country right now is what the deep state has done around the world since they've existed. And it's kind of something we've accepted around the world. Now they're doing it here. Maybe they've always been doing it here to a degree and we didn't know about it. But what's going on now in this country is something that we have never seen before. And I've been talking about this Bring Back Bush deep state op that's going on, okay? And with the DC shooter, almost immediately after the shooting happened, one of the first things we heard about him was that he was a CIA guy, right? That came out before the guardsmen who were shot were identified. We heard that about him. I don't know how that got out so quick. Then over the weekend, it was reported that not only was the shooter a CIA guy in Afghanistan, his brother is CIA too. His brother's a platoon leader for some CIA combat unit. Now, how many of you knew that the CIA had platoons of soldiers in Afghanistan? I had no idea. I mean, I knew they were over there and did things, but I didn't know they had like combat units, platoons. Did you? So there's no doubt in my mind or anyone else's mind that's been covering this over the weekend, because I've heard other people talking about this, that this shooting in D.C. on Wednesday, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, was a deep state op, okay? This Bring Back Bush campaign that started with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and there's been many things in between. About 2 weeks before the shooting is when the Congress people put out that sedition video to try to turn the military against the president. And what they were talking about in that video, really what they were referencing, the context was they were telling guardsmen disobey the orders about going into the streets. There's something about Trump sending the National Guard in, who, by the way, the Guard in these American cities are just there as a presence. They're not doing arresting. They're not doing anything. They're just there to give a military presence as backup to the federal agents in these very scary areas that they're in. But for some reason, they don't like it. Maybe they don't want the crime to stop in the cities. Maybe that's how they keep control. I don't know. But that Congress video that they put out 2 weeks ago, over 2 weeks ago now, right? Is it coming up on, is it 2 weeks this week or 3 weeks this week? Well, whatever it is, they were talking to the National Guard. And they were trying to get the National Guard to disobey orders. Now, I want to play this video. This is Slotkin. She's the CIA senator. And this video is chilling. She made this video a month before the DC shooting on Wednesday last week, and a week or two before we saw the congressman's sedition video. Listen. Now listen closely now. Okay. Could lead to a deadly confrontation, she said. Hear that? She said we're about 2 weeks away, a month before the incident in D.C. on Wednesday. She was off by 2 weeks. This speech at the Brookings Institution that she gave is almost like it's predictive programming, isn't it? And then it didn't happen, so they made it happen because they thought, well, let me take our break for the bottom and get back on schedule because we had some tech issues. We'll take our bottom of the hour break. I'll finish up on this because, like I said, in the first segment, I don't know how much of what I said you guys heard or not because we went off the air briefly. So we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. We'll come back, and I'll finish up with this and then get to your calls because when I lost the connection, it cleared out everybody on hold. So I apologize, guys. I know some of you were on hold for quite some time. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show. We are back from Thanksgiving. We'll be back after this break. All right. Well, we're in break on the radio for about another minute. And what happened is I lost my connection to the radio station, and it cleared out. I hung up on everybody on the phone because that's done through the internet, and it cut off the live stream. So I had to start a new live stream. But I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Sometimes that happens. Happened once last week. It's happened about, I don't know, maybe 3 times, 4 times since I've been using my home studio. It happens. It happens sometimes at the radio station too. It's just not so obvious. All right, 20 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. All right, so just to finish up on my recap of what happened with the D.C. Shooting on Wednesday, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So you heard Slotkin there. She says, by my estimation, within 2 weeks, and then a month later, that incident happens. They were trying to create a shootout in the streets of D.C. during a very busy time. That part of D.C. is a tourist area because it's so close to the White House. Plus, on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, there's a lot of people leaving work early to start the Thanksgiving weekend. So there's probably more people outside on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving in the afternoon than usual because people want to get out of there and start their long weekend. It's almost like a week vacation. It's 4 days, but it feels like a week, right? And they thought that there would be a shootout between the National Guard and this deep state Afghan Muslim terrorist, and there would be civilian casualties. And that would be Wednesday. We'd wake up on Thursday, see the aftermath of this shootout between the Guard, and people would be outraged of the civilian death because of the National Guard shootout. And by Monday, when America's back to work on this Cyber Monday, this is what they thought would happen, in my view. The American people would be calling for President Trump to withdraw the National Guard from American cities and then not do it in any other cities. It didn't turn out that way because the reaction of the National Guard was quick, it was swift. They took the guy down. They took him down quick. But I believe, I am 100% convinced that this was a deep state operation. Now, I'd like to ask you all if you agree or disagree with that. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631. Those of you who on hold earlier, you're welcome to call back. When I lost the connection, it cleared out all the phone lines. 888-465-2631. Do you believe that the National Guard shooting, which killed the female guardsman, the other one it was reported today is expected to live. I hope those reports are true. Do you believe that that was a random act of Islamic terrorism? Or do you believe it was a deep state op to do what my premise to try to turn the public against President Trump and using the National Guard? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Others have talked about this over the weekend, and they're saying that they're trying to create a color revolution in this country. And a color revolution, they've had these in Ukraine, and we don't have things like that, but that's what they're trying to do in this country. This is going beyond trying to turn MAGA public opinion against our great president. They're trying to turn the military against him and the public. And when I say a revolution, I'm not talking about a violent revolution. I'm talking about a revolution where people are demanding that he resign or brings the Democrats back into power in the midterms and then the establishment back in power in 2028. That's what they're trying to do here. And I do believe it began with Charlie Kirk. And whatever people tell you, the assassination of Charlie Kirk was a major blow to our MAGA movement. We're going to feel it in the midterm elections. Turning Point USA is on life support. I know they're still in existence and they're still having events with Megyn Kelly and others. It's not the same. All this talk of all these people who wanted to start chapters. I haven't heard one story of the first adult chapter of Turning Point established anywhere. Have you? Turning Point is not in a good place right now. They don't have any clear organization. They don't have any clear mission. There's no clear leader. And the people that are out there doing the Turning Point events, Megyn Kelly, they're doing good work, but it's nothing like the days of Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk and Turning Point was a big, big part of our get out the vote. See, the American people are behind Trump. What these deep staters don't understand is this. Most everybody in this country is on Trump's side. Those that are not MAGA, that do not support Trump are a minority. They're a fringe. They're a cult. They don't get it. Because in their circle, everybody hates Trump. So they assume everybody everywhere hates Trump. So they don't understand and they don't see what it is that they're doing and how ridiculous it is. With that being said, though, you know, the midterm elections, it's December 1st. After New Year's, we're going to be in midterm election season. There's a reason why in the midterms, the party in power typically loses, whoever the president is, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Now, there's exceptions to everything, but the main reason is this. The party in power gets too comfortable. The groups of people that are not in power get energized because they hate who's in power, and it results in the party in office controlling everything losing. We need to have a turnout like it's a presidential election year, and we'll be fine. I don't know how many governors are up, but we've got the entire House, a third of the Senate. Well, there are some seats that are going to be up. Marco Rubio's seat is it was an appointee of DeSantis, but that seat is up in the midterms. So we got a Senate race in Florida. We've got Marjorie Taylor Greene's race and others where we're not going to have incumbents. We will win and be okay if we have a massive voter turnout and we don't have Charlie Kirk to walk the college kids and Gen Z to do it. So over the next year, well, it's less than a year, over the next 10, 11 months, all of you that are MAGA, and I'm going to spend a lot of time, it's all about voter turnout. We have to be energized and mobilized and swamp them and have a presidential election year like turnout. We'll be fine. What these people are thinking about doing when they're back in power, this is beyond impeaching President Trump. They plan on putting everybody in jail, Pete Hegseth and all the others that are involved in this National Guard deployment. They're going to put them all in jail if they get back in the White House, if they get back in power. That's their plan. Stephen Miller, all of them, they want to put in prison for war crimes. I know they always say, every time there's an election, this is the most important election of your life. Well, it is the most important election, every election, because it's the one you're dealing with and the one you're facing and the one that's coming up, and it's more important than past elections or future elections that we don't know who the players are even. But it is, like with last year's election with the president, President Trump being reelected last year is the reason he's a free man. That judge in New York City would have sent President Trump to prison if he had not been reelected, right? Yeah. And that wouldn't have turned out well. If we don't win these next two elections, they're going to put everyone around Trump in prison. So it's all about voter turnout. When early voting comes around, vote early. Don't fall for these fake MAGA people that are trying to discourage you. Remember, Zohan only won in New York City because the media was successful in convincing people that he couldn't be beaten. So they had a low turnout on top of Curtis Sliwa. You combine the two of them, Mamdani's the mayor of New York. That could happen in the midterms if you let the media convince you that we're going to lose the midterms, because historically that's what happens with the party in power, and we don't have a massive voter turnout. We're in a whole new era now where these evil Satanists, because that's what they are setting up black op, deep state operations in our own capital to try to turn public opinion against President Trump. All right, those of you on hold, hang in there. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I was over at Friendly Tire the other day, and there was a listener getting used tires. And I couldn't even tell. They looked like new tires to me. Man, those tires, they looked real good. And I asked Mike, because I don't talk to you guys or to Mike about used tires too much, because when you can get new tires as low as $75 out the door and on the road, I can't get my mind focused on used tires. But with some people, money's tight, and the tires, they look so good. I said, hey, Mike, I said, how much are the used tires right now? Because I haven't asked him what the price on used tires is for a long, long time. And he told me as low as $35 a tire. And these are good used tires. That's right. Used tires at Friendly Tire as low as $35 a tire. And that's out the door and on the road too. Because with the used tires, he also doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tires. So that's great. $75 as low as for new tires out the door and on the road. As low as $75 for new tires. And as low as $35 for used tires at Friendly Tire in Margate. Give Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445. My name is Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. All right, hold on. Let me see here. Where are we? If you're on hold, hang in there. Yeah, I don't know why we lost that that connection, but we did. But we're back now. That's all that's important. Okay. Okay, we're going to be back in less than a minute. Because when we got knocked off, he ran some extra commercials to give me time to start the new feed. So this short breaks. All right, about 30 seconds and we will be back. Yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you agree or disagree that this was a deep state operation? Everything that goes with it. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. All right, I've covered a lot. I'll take a call or two. I got so much to cover. This was the busiest Thanksgiving weekend I've ever seen so far as news goes. I've only just scratched. I mean, we're talking about Wednesday, right? And Thursday's story still. We've got a lot to cover. I'll take some calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Hey there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on. I mean, go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
My name's Mark.
Hey, Mark, what's on your mind?
I'm calling because I think that.
Here we go.
Did you hear about the Warren Sugandis?
Did I hear about what? Speak up.
The Warren Sugandis.
No.
Yes, Sugandis nuts.
Oh, okay. That's hilarious. Isn't that brilliant? Grown men. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey there. My name's Jed. I'm calling from Tampa, Florida.
All right. Yes, what's on your mind?
I just want to say how much I love.
I'm sure you do. Oh, my goodness. This is what's happening. First, Cyber Monday, it's one of those days. If you're on hold, stand by. Mark Kelly, who spends a lot of time shaving his head, doesn't he? He was on... Did you see Mark Kelly on Meet the Press over the weekend? Oh my goodness. Mark Kelly on Meet the Press. I wonder if he shaves his own head or does his wife... Well, I guess, I don't know. Any of you guys out there go for the shaved look? How do you achieve that? You know, I shave as little as possible on my face, but he never has stubble. He kind of looks like Lex Luthor a little bit, a chubby Lex Luthor, you know, and about as evil as Lex Luthor. One of the things President Trump is doing is stopping all of the immigration from the third world countries, which is a pretty amazing thing. Now, Mark Kelly, you would think if you were Mark Kelly, what you would be doing right now is kind of keeping yourself on the down low, wouldn't you? Right? You know, Pete Hegseth has mentioned multiple times that they're thinking of recalling him to the Navy and investigating him and charging him with sedition. And instead of keeping a low profile, he continues to go out there and do all of these interviews. This is him talking about the new immigration policy. You know, we keep in mind, you know, we have, I don't know how many of these unvetted refugees in this country. Listen. Oh my goodness. You know, the race card is the last-ditch effort of a Democrat who's in trouble. When a Democrat is in panic mode and they're sending up the bat signal or the SOS, it's the race card. He says third world countries is code for non-white people. What third world country are we taking refugees from that's a white country? There's one. See if anybody can figure it out. I'm not going to tell you. But all the rest of them, I mean, it's just a coincidence. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Because they're not white, we're supposed to let them come here and shoot our guardsmen? What is he suggesting? Oh. All right, Lex Luthor. Oh my goodness. Kelly's nervous. He's afraid he's going to get court-martialed. He really is, or he wouldn't be talking. And if you look at him on Meet the Press, he is freshly shaven from the top of his head to his neck. I've never seen him so... You would think that he had... What's that disease that people have where they have no hair? He kind of... Does he have that? No, he has eyebrows. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey there, my name's Howard from...
Okay, oh my God. This is going to be one of those days, guys. It's going to be one of those days. If you're on hold, stand by. Alopecia, yeah. You know, there's a number of things that they're doing here. After the top of the hour, by the way, we'll get into what's going on with Venezuela. And we'll get back to the call shortly. What they're doing is a number of things. But this is what I don't get with the Never Trumpers and these evildoers on the political establishment, permanent Washington class working against Trump. Why don't they just let him write out his term? You know, if they would have left him alone when he got elected the first time, he would be a year into his retirement right now. Now, he'd still have endorsement abilities and rallies to endorse candidates, but he would have done his 2 terms and that would have been it. Right? I've even heard President Trump mention this a few times in rally speeches during the campaign. They should have left me alone. I wouldn't even be here running right now, right? So why are they continuing now? We're almost a year into this second term. Why not just write it out and make take that opportunity to try to get one of their controlled people in the White House in the next election in 2028? Why can't they let it go? Well, there's a number of reasons. I think one of the reasons is they're spoiled, insane, demonic children who are not in power right now, and they just can't let that go. But I do think there's also a fear among many of them that he is going to run in 2028, and that the law is going to be changed. I really do, because the way they're going after Trump right now, it makes no sense whatsoever. You know, it really doesn't. It makes less than 0 sense, in fact. If he only has this last term, why not leave him alone? Because everything they do, whether it's Charlie Kirk, the Marjorie Taylor Greene incident, this shooting in D.C., it makes Trump more popular, more influential, right? And people get red-pilled every day when they see it. It has an opposite effect, and they've got to know that. So there's something going on that has them in a panic. You know, shutting down USAID and all these things. You know, they're in a total panic stage. It's not just the permanent Washington class, it's the deep state. You know, another thing too, J.D. Vance gave an interview last week to Breitbart about the job numbers, about 119,000 jobs, 118,000 jobs created. Does that include the deportations? Because every deportation is a job created too, right? Or at least most of them. But one of the things that J.D. Vance talked about was that MAGA has to be united again. Well, I want to disagree with J.D. on that. I think MAGA is more united than ever. We just have a few people, Tucker, Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, that for whatever reason are trashing Trump and trashing the MAGA movement and causing problems. But the MAGA movement are the rank and file voters around the country. And I think President Trump's support among MAGA is as strong as ever. That's why that CNN poll that I shared with you last week, among Republicans, President Trump has an 87% approval rating, which is what it was 6 months ago. That shows that MAGA is still strong and behind President Trump. We just have these vocal people in the media that are trying to sabotage him all the time. Now, here we are in a new month. It's December 1st. Are you in pain? Go see Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain. Don't go to your Christmas parties. Don't go to your Christmas celebrations. Don't do all that in pain. And here it is on Monday. Were you a little more active over Thanksgiving weekend? Maybe hanging up the Christmas lights on the house, whatever, and you're in pain? Go see Dr. Appleton. You know, his robotic laser is amazing. A couple of things about it. One, the 7 times that he's rid me of pain from a car accident, arthritis, falls that I've had, all 7 times, the pain not only is gone, it has never returned. And the first time he treated me was my knee over 3.5 years ago. None of the pains he's treated me for have returned because the robotic laser of Dr. Appleton's repairs the damage that's causing the pain. The other thing is this. It's not just a laser, it's a robotic laser. I leave the robotic part out a lot, and I shouldn't do that. I got to talk about that. The robotic laser, it actually moves around the area that's being treated. So what happens, and Dr. Appleton, he's the doctor. He knows how to do this. He's amazing. He's able to determine the exact spot where the pain's coming from. And of course, that's ground zero for the treatment. But the robotic laser, as an example, on my shoulder or my knee, and this was same with my arthritis on my, my hand and everything else. He starts the treatment right where that spot is. He determines it's coming from here. He gives you an examination. He can figure that out. He's highly skilled. But the robotic laser moves around. So like with my knee, it treats the entire knee, every angle, the top, the sides, the bottom, all the way around. So that area that's damaged, that's causing the pain, gets treated and repaired from every direction. Same for the shoulder, same for my hand when he treated me for arthritis. It's absolutely amazing. And not only is the laser treatment 100% painless, you don't even feel the treatment when it's being done, which is amazing, right? There's no downtime, no appointments necessary, and it works on pretty much every type of pain I've ever heard of. Well, not just every one. And I meet people all the time that tell me about new pain, stenosis, neck pain, tennis elbow, tinnitus, strains and sprains, sciatica, muscular contraction, lumbar pain, hip pain, knee pain, bursitis, bronchial neuralgia, arthritis like I used to have. Oh man, that arthritis pain was awful. Boom, after just two treatments, my pain gone. It has not returned. You know, the arthritis was the one I was really nervous about, because when Dr. Appleton told me I had arthritis, I thought my life was over. My whole hand was going to be useless, and the pain's gone. It's been over a year. He treated me. Boom, the pain's gone. It has not returned, and certainly not spread to any other parts of my hands. It's amazing. And that pain had me almost in tears. It was so bad. So give Dr. Appleton a call. Remember, the consultation is free. Take advantage of that. If you have scans or x-rays, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will gladly look them over. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. And now we're, the beginning of the month, a new week. The holidays are over. He's open normal hours this week, which would include Saturday. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, in the next hour, we're going to get into what President Trump's doing in Venezuela. You know, the things that President Trump is doing in this second term are things that I describe as universally good, meaning how could you be against them? And when it comes to Venezuela, he's doing something that no president has ever even attempted to do, and that's shut down the drug cartels, right? Who could be against that? Well, yeah, Democrats, the permanent Washington class, no doubt, and they're being very vocal about it. But the drug cartels have killed more Americans than Al-Qaeda and ISIS ever have, and I'll tell you this, I bet you the drug cartels are responsible for more American deaths than all of the wars this country has been involved in combined, including the Civil War. No doubt about it, by far. The biggest foreign threat to this country are the cartels. And he's the first president to actually do something about it, other than, say, war on drugs, which was a meaningless term. So I'll get into some details on that and much more after the top of the hour. Callers on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll take our top of the hour break and be back. Okay, we will be back in about 90 seconds. So if you're on hold, hang in there. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no... I mean, how could you make a case against taking down the cartels? How could you even attempt to make a case against that? Unless you're like a junkie, right? You know, if you're a big drug dealer or a drug addict, maybe I could see it. But I'm talking about like normal people. We got about 1 minute, guys. All right, welcome back. Hour number 2 has begun. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig, and this is Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Anthony. I'm calling from Missouri. I'm actually running next year in the 7th Congressional District for the United States Congress. The cartels, what's going on down in Venezuela is actually a big point of mine, too.
Well, it's a big point for everyone. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to put a number on how many Americans are dead because of the cartels, but it's beyond millions. It's above the ODs. I mean, it's crime victims, children victimized by addict parents. I mean, there's no way to put a number. Even abortions. How many abortions?
Look at what's going on in our inner cities. Look at the meth epidemic, the problem, the drugs. That all stems from the cartel, not just the cartel, but it's also coming from the CCP. That's why Trump has to be so tough on China. It's not just coming across the border. It's coming across on shipments, cargo containers. So we've got to crack down on that. We can't let China will do it. Russia will do it. We've got foreign countries as well as the cartels that are pouring drugs into our country. So it's got to be more than just to stop on the cartels. But what the cartels have done is enough for Congress to get a declaration of war against the cartels.
Well, I don't know if we haven't had a declaration of war since the Second World War. They're not going to do that. But
exactly, they're not.
And I don't know if they want to do that. Have an official declaration of war against these cartels. It's kind of, just taking them out is what needs to be done. All this talk.
That's why the president's doing it like he is. Just the same way that we did with Vietnam. Can run it as a policing operation. It's safety. He's the commander in chief, and he has the authority to do that.
The thing about it is all this talk of inflation. I don't hear anyone talk about what the illegal drug prices are these days. They've got to gone up through the roof in the last 6 months. That's the inflation number I'd like to know.
Even the legal drug prices.
Yeah, the illegal ones.
Even the legal drug prices.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, listen, appreciate the call. Keep in touch as you run for office. What do you, what's coming next, right, from these deep state propagandists? Do you know what's going to happen? They're going to try to get some real fishermen killed by the military, right? They keep telling us these are fishermen, and they're obviously drug boats. I'm expecting them to have start putting fishing poles and fishing gear and nets and stuff on these drug boats. And the next time they blow up a couple, they're going to show that to us floating in the water if there's anything left. And then we're going to see the wife and children of the fisherman who was killed because of Pete Hegseth's strike. That's what's coming next. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Wow, I certainly agree with you, man. I think it's certainly MAGA is united. If CNN says it's 87, it's either got to be 87 or higher. I'd like to see it be 100%, but I'm happy with 87, and I think that everybody, I don't know anybody who says anything negative about who's MAGA. I hear, well, the Democrats want to destroy us, but that's too bad. And when you mention that they're trying to make a Bush comeback, that's about as likely. That's about, I think, as likely as Bud Light making a comeback.
But they don't know that. But they don't know that. And if you go to the store, Bud Light's still for sale. People are buying it. I don't know who, but it's still there. I see it at Publix.
Yeah, it's there. Well, I mean, they're not going out of business, but they're certainly not. I don't know what their volume is, but I would imagine it's still.
I used to drink Bud Light. Bud Light, which kind of tastes like water, right? It's not a very strong tasting beer. A cold Bud Light was good on a hot day, or if you're out at a bar, you get it on draft or something on a hot day. Now, I mean, no one orders it because if you order it, they'll think you're gay.
Yeah. Or there's something wrong with you, man. That's for sure. But so there's Bush. I think they could try. I guess they could try, but I think this is going to be a waste. And these people who are going against President Trump, man, that's the most annoying thing to see them lie, come up with stories that are ridiculous, that he's doing stuff that he's not doing, and they're just trying to keep their base.
These things that they're going against, who is against shutting down the cartels, right? And they're actually coming out against him doing that now. Oh, these fishermen, it's just like here in Florida, the property tax. They're going to tell us the property tax. We can't, even though it's only for homesteaded people, you can't do away with the property tax. And then they're going to tell us, President Trump was talking over the weekend of eliminating income taxes. They're going to argue against that. I mean, the things that they're taking positions against are insanely popular positions.
Yeah. It's amazing you said that. President Trump mentions that he wants to get rid of the income tax, and all of a sudden online there's all these people saying how the 16th Amendment was never ratified properly, and it's illegal, unconstitutional.
Whatever.
They come out so fast. It's amazing. The internet is ready to so quickly.
All right, Doug. I appreciate the call. So if you're on hold, hang in there. The president had a press conference on Air Force One on the way back to D.C. from Mar-a-Lago last night. Here's one clip. Okay, now what they're asking him about here is President Trump's going to stop third world people from coming into the country, right? And of course, they're having a fit on the left. That's right. That's right. Oh. Yeah, and he has the power to do that. He talked about later. I was watching, it's really amazing how this country has just been so abused by our leadership before Trump. I was watching this video online over the weekend. This girl from Europe, from Germany, she married this American guy, and they moved to Munich. And they had to go and register. In fact, in Germany, everyone has to register where they live. And if you move, even if it's within the country or within the town you live in, you got to register with the government. And that's how they keep track of who's there. And he didn't throw some, but what do you mean I've got to go register, because I'm a foreigner? Yeah, exactly. You know, we're the only country in the world that has this uncontrolled, out of control immigration. And he's right on the money about Ilhan Omar. You know, these third world people are coming in and getting elected to local offices and in federal offices, and they're telling us that they want to run this country like Somalia, the Somalian way. That's crazy. Now, I want to talk about the Sloman's Home Security System offer, and this is a great Christmas gift. Listen to this. Sloman's Home Security is offering a free home security system with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring, all for just $24.95 a month for 5 years. This is a great Christmas gift for your adult children who live out of the house, your grandparents, mom and dad, or a gift for yourself and your family in your home. $24.95 a month for 5 years. Just give them a call. That's 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. A free home security system and professional installation absolutely free. Your Sloman's Home Security System includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access so you can check in anytime from anywhere. Give them a call, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. Call us on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be back right after this. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll take calls after the break. Really? Isn't that something? Now, I want to remind you guys that the cyber sale at mypillow.com is huge. I mean, look at this up. The Cyber Monday Super Sale going on, all with, of course, our promo code Kane at checkout. Look at this. My premium towel sets, 50% off for Cyber Monday. The Giza Dream Sheets, $29.98. You're saving over 50% off on those. The MyPillow's huge sales. Blankets, comforters, duvets as low as $25. The Children's Bible Story Pillow 5-pack, just $29.98 for the whole 5-pack. The kitchen towels and accessories as low as $9.99, all with my promo code Kane. The MyPillow Cross that Mike Lindell himself wears, there's 2 different styles, 50% off with my promo code Kane. And, you know, I was telling you guys, after this month is over, they're going to make the big decision if they're going to continue to sponsor the expansion of this show, the early show. It is going to be based on how well the Christmas shopping season goes. So please go to mypillow.com and use my promo code Kane at checkout for all of these humongous savings. Okay. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, guys, on the radio. Okay, we got about a minute, and we'll be back. Okay, about 20 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show, the Monday after Thanksgiving. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Sherry from Texas. How you doing?
All right, Sherry, what's on your mind?
Hey, watching CNN announce and show that, the 87% of Trump's approval rating. I don't know why anybody would be shocked by that. I mean, besides, the melting pot of the liberals and the Democrats out there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know how serious Trump is. I'm sure he's very serious. He typically does not mention anything of doing any act unless he's forthgoing with it, and that's putting, troops on the ground over there in Venezuela. And, it's amazing how small Venezuela is and how big of a punch that they've had on America when it comes to drugs.
I can't even believe there's anybody left in the country, as many of them that they've sent here.
Exactly. And then I was watching, I'm not sure, I can't remember what show it was, and it was, is it Crockett? Is it Jasmine or Janine Crockett?
Jasmine Crockett. Yeah, Jasmine Crockett, yeah.
Saying, literally getting on air and defending these deportations, and shame on, the mega, Trump for sending all of them over. How dare him do that and only, send over the two that have committed the crime. Well, my gosh, that's just like taking a tumor and saying, oh, we have one huge cancer cell in the middle of that tumor. Let's just go ahead and cut that little cell out. Well, no, that's not how it works.
What President Trump's doing with Venezuela is amazing. So over the weekend, he ordered all the airspace cleared. And I love what he said. He sent out a message to the airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, and he closed down Venezuelan airspace, which tells us there's going to be military operations, probably surgical strikes. Mm-hmm. He had a phone call with Maduro, and it's being reported everywhere through the Miami Herald that they're telling him to get out, and then he puts up all these conditions. He wants to have global immunity. Maduro, I mean, who does he think he is? Global immunity.
Yeah. Right. And then you've got Crockett saying, well, you know what? If that's the case, you're going to deport every single one of them. We need to deport Trump. Let's deport Trump. And I'm thinking to myself, this is somebody running for a powerful seat? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, these are the kind of people that the Democrats just froth over. So anyway, I had that on my mind. I just wanted to call.
All right, well, appreciate the call. All right, take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. This is Richie. Good
hey,
morning
Richie.
to you. I hope you had a. Did you get my message I sent you with that billboard?
How did you send it?
Oh, I sent it on Messenger.
I get like 10,000 text messages, and over the weekend I've not gotten to all of them, so I know I've not seen it yet.
All right, this is a giant conspiracy. I see what's going on here. They on PBD podcast on Friday, they exposed everything. He was in shock. He called the people that put that billboard up total dirtbags to try to
What's
divide
the What's
United
the billboard?
States.
I didn't see the billboard. What's the billboard?
All right, it was in North Carolina. There was a billboard put up with the Army soldiers. You didn't sign up for this. In other words, deploying the National Guard. You didn't sign up for this, and it was bought and purchased 5 days before any orders were given to put out the National Guard.
Yeah.
So in other words, it was done in advance because it was either leaked by somebody or somebody, and they knew what was going on. This is the shooting that happened with the poor girl, and the other soldier. All of this, what you see in Venezuela, it all comes together. Mark Kelly, it's a total, and the media. It's a total assault, all-out assault against President Trump for one particular reason, because they're in a total panic that if he wins this, if we win this next election, this is an election mode by these people. New York, the chaos that happened Saturday, I don't know if you saw that. The garbage can store, not one arrest. Yeah. This is chaos, and in other words, because they're scared to death. If we lose the midterms, they're going to try to impeach him. They're going to try. Everything's going to be thrown at him. So they're doing it now. They're trying to muddy the waters, make it so bad. It's all about the
what they're trying to do. A lot of people listen. What they're trying to do is create what's called a color revolution. They're trying to turn public opinion against the president as an election tactic in the midterms, so people will be so fed up that they'll vote Democrat. That's what they're trying to do.
150%. This is all about an election. This is how sick these people are. Yeah. They will pull every stop. They will do everything, and everything he's doing is the correct thing to do.
But it's like I said earlier. I was talking at the end of the last hour. What President Trump has an 87% approval rating among Republican voters. Those are the only people we need to care about. The others aren't going to be voting for him no matter what. We need to have, next year for the midterms, we need to have a massive turnout like it's a presidential election year. If they thought that it was a sure thing, they wouldn't be setting up shootings in D.C. and all this stuff. They're doing everything in their power, getting Congress people to resign and that are MAGA and everything else. They're terrified that we're going to win the midterms. So that means it's in play.
That's what it's all about. Yeah. Yeah, and this is, you said last week, the midterms, we won't start talking till January 1st, then we'll be in election mode. These people see numbers. Like you always say, they got numbers that they see. They're in a total panic that they're going to lose the midterms, and we're going to take total control of Congress.
Well, Richie, what I was talking about earlier, what I was talking about at the top of the show, this was a deep state op, this shooting, and they were hoping
the whole thing.
They were hoping for a shootout that would get civilians killed to turn public right before Thanksgiving, when all the families are together to deal with it over Thanksgiving dinner. And on this Cyber Monday, the American people would be calling on President Trump to withdraw the National Guard. The National Guard response in D.C. was so quick and swift that didn't happen the way they planned, but it was a deep state op. Right. The shooter is CIA and his brother's CIA. Come
everything.
On.
It's all comes down. They figured even if the civilian if it didn't get shot, that the American people would turn against the military being in the cities by having somebody.
That's right.
And especially his first target was a woman. He purposely targeted and saw it was a woman.
That's right.
So this is so obvious to me. I mean,
targeting the woman. People may wonder why. There's been a lot of studies done with combat troops. Israel had problems with this. When there's a female soldier down, the men in the unit will take risks they wouldn't take for a man to protect a woman. So the reason he targeted the woman and shot her first was to try to distract the other soldiers to go and help her, as opposed to fight back.
Also to outrage America that a female young girl or young lady, a girl, 20 years old,
a child.
I mean, this is So this is to me. This I can't even. Mark Kelly, he's a bad actor, man. I'm not even talking about his actions. He's a bad actor. They're all actors, but you could see he's terrible. I don't. It's
all right,
just
Richie, I
one big
gotta run
damn-
for the break, but I appreciate the call. And I want to tell you guys, Thanksgiving was Thursday. Did you guys eat a lot? I did. Oh my goodness. I have one piece of pumpkin pie left. Yeah. Well, listen, it's okay. It's okay if you put on a few pounds over Thanksgiving. A lot of people did. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Set up your no-charge consultation. Lose that weight before your Christmas party, before your New Year's party, before you get together with your family over the holiday season. 561-247-6300. I've not weighed myself yet. I'm going to weigh myself today and see if I gained any weight over Thanksgiving, because I did. I love turkey. We had turkey. We had ham, mashed potatoes, pumpkin pie. Oh man, green bean casserole. We do it all up on Thanksgiving, man. Not cut any corners on Thanksgiving. I haven't weighed myself yet. I will today. And if I gained a couple pounds, I'll just get back on Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Give them a call. Lose that weight before your holiday event, guys. It's easy. I lost 25 pounds in 3 weeks. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. Remember, they can help you lose weight no matter where you are in the United States. Online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. We'll be right back. Hello?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on? We're in break. We got a couple minutes.
Yeah, I want to get into that Victor Hansen thing.
Okay. All right, let me put you on hold for a minute. I'll put you on hold just for a
Okay.
minute. All right, we got about 90 seconds, Steve.
Okay. We'll try to get a burst going here and see if we can turn it into calls.
There's calls.
Yeah, but I want to get away from this column that's
Don't worry. No one's taking over. All right, got 30 seconds.
okay. Sounds good.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. It is the Monday after Thanksgiving. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning. How are you today?
All right.
I got to tell you, it's infuriating listening to this stuff. I want to get on Richie's bandwagon there. I think he's right on the money. There is a very small but highly organized group of anti-Trump people. I think they're financed by, I don't know, I don't want to get paranoid, but I think they're financed, these people, a lot of them by George Soros money. And we used to talk about them all the time, seminar callers. These are people that are paid to disrupt the narrative, that's the word I'm looking for, on Trump. And Richie had it right on the money. They're attacking prior to the election. They're trying to destroy the interest and momentum on the Trump side, and they're very successful. I think that they...
Well, they're trying, but...
they know what they're doing. They're not... These people are not amateurs.
They think they know what they're doing, but it's not working. You know, I was talking about this at the top of the show. This incident in D.C. was part of their plot. This was not some lone Afghan terrorist. This was a CIA guy, right? It was reported right after the shooting. He was in the CIA in Afghanistan, and his brother worked with the CIA too. And everything they're doing, they're trying to turn public opinion against him for the election, for the midterms. That's yes.
Yes, I think that's true. We're starting at that common point of agreement.
But the fact that everybody sees it, and it's been, the shooting happened on Wednesday, and everyone's been talking about it. It's been 5 days now, right? Everyone's been talking about what it is. They haven't pulled it off. What they're doing is so obvious. Everybody, and so it's not working.
Well, it's obvious to you, but it's not obvious to a lot of people. I mean, they take narratives. The difference between your position and my position is I think they wait for these things to happen and jump on them and then organize them. That's how I think it goes. I don't think they plan the actual event. I think they pick up on these events as they occur in the public view.
No, this thing in D.C., Steve, I'm telling you, this was part of the same operation with the video. And that video the Congress people put out, they were talking to the National Guard. That's who they were talking to, that it's unlawful for you to be deployed to American cities, right? That's who they were talking to. And then this incident happened. And I think they thought there would be a shootout between the Guard and this guy.
They were there to blow it. What they do is they take events that happen in the news and they organize them from there. And they organize the reaction. And they try to create a feedback against the president. And Mark Levin had a great show. I don't know if you had a chance to see it this weekend. But he talked about how there's a malaise in the country and how
all it takes for us to lose power is for people to get tired of the I don't know, the Michigas, or the I don't know how to put it, but agita that goes on around these things, and that when the public gets incensed enough and they pick up on enough, the difference between your position and my position is I don't think they necessarily plan the events. I think they're charged with taking these events when they happen and organizing them.
Out of all the Afghan Muslim terrorists in the country, it just so happens that the shooting was done by a guy who worked with the CIA and whose brother was his brother led a platoon of fighters for the CIA. Out of all of the gin joints, he walked into ours, right? I mean, come on. What are the odds that this terrorist is a CIA guy and his brother is too? No, I think they were behind it. We're not really disagreeing over much, right? It's what they're trying to accomplish is we definitely agree on. They're trying to create. They want to make this country feel like it's 1968 when there were all these uprisings and problems and everything else. That's what they're trying to do.
They do have their eye on the election, and they do want to see to it that the reason they're doing it now is because they feel they have an opportunity to. That's what they do. They look at these events that happen in the news, and they find useful idiots like this astronaut Mark Kelly or whatever, who play into their plot without realizing that they're being used.
Yeah.
And then they become players in
Steve,
the script.
I was doing, I didn't take off over the weekend. I was still doing shows over the weekend and taking calls.
I suspected you might.
Well, because there was a big news event. I mean, I was going to take the whole weekend off, but the shooting.
You're very conscientious.
But here's the thing, though. Every MAGA person in this audience, except you, believe that the people behind the video were behind the attack in D.C. And I didn't see Mark Levin, but I understand what he's talking about. The reason that the midterms are usually lost by the party in power is because there's so much conflict. People are like, oh, if we vote for the other party, the fighting will stop, right?
I think that's real, and I think it's happening, and it scares the crap out of me.
I don't think it's happening this time because people are aware of what they're doing. The only thing that can cost us the midterms is if we don't have a massive turnout. If we have
this is going to, I think events like this that they've kind of blown out of proportion. No, not that it's not a horrible event, but that they're using the event for their purposes. That's how they plan on dulling enthusiasm for Trump during the election.
These events. I just while we were talking, I pulled up the Wings Plus website.
Yes.
The Sample Road location, about a mile west of University Drive on the south side of Sample Road in Coral Springs. Right? Well, rarely do I stray from the Wings because I love the Wings, right? Listen to this, Steve. This is on Mondays and Tuesdays, and today is Monday.
Right.
This is with ribs. Listen to this. This is on Mondays and Tuesdays. Purchase a full rack of ribs, get a half rack free.
Wow.
Oh my goodness! And there, you know what? I just found something I've never had at Wings Plus. I thought I had the whole menu. The Reuben. The Reuben.
I haven't even seen that on the menu.
No, I don't know. Is it new?
It must be.
And Brian from Wings Plus, that he has photographs of it. It is like all their other sandwiches, overstuffed. I don't even know how they make money, right, on these sandwiches. I mean, it's so overstuffed. You know how lunch meats.
The food is just spectacular.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So there's a bunch of.
It's Monday Night Football, a great place to mix it up and for listeners to meet and talk and have great fun and camaraderie while they watch the games.
Mm-hmm.
And this is football season, no doubt about it, coming into the playoffs, and no place to get your party goods if you're having a football party. Order the wings and stuff before the game starts, and you pick them up at halftime. You don't even have to wait. They will be there waiting for you, steaming hot, crispy, and delicious.
Yeah, and there's and when it comes to the wings, by the way, there's some specials. They vary on different things. So when you call or stop in, they'll let you know. But there's some specials on the wings platters if you order 25 wings. You know, for your football party. There's some specials on that. Wings Plus is in Coral Springs, about a mile west of University Drive on the south side of Sample Road. You cannot miss them. And the number is 752-4460, area code 954-757. Hold on a second here. Yeah, 954-752-4460. And online,
the place with the politically elite meet.
And yeah, that's right. And online, wingsplus.com. And now I'm hungry. Oh my goodness. And I don't have any wings, and they're not open yet because it's only 7:44 in the morning. All right, listen, I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. You know, here's another thing. You know what really ticks off the Never-Trumpers? When he gets good health reports. Listen to this. They just can't handle the good health reports. They just can't handle it. Oh, here's the on the reverse immigration is what they're calling it now. It's a new term. Exactly. Yeah, you know, he's invited both families to the White House. Oh, my goodness. I know, isn't it terrible? It sure is terrible. It is. I mean, it's just the worst. Oh, here's on the phone call with Maduro. Yeah, well, we'll find out soon enough, right? We'll see. Listen to that. Here's Kelly. But drug dealers don't? Wow, what a monster. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I'm there.
All right, I got 1 minute.
Okay, you call me after the show. Okay, you're doing good.
All right. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Steve is here. You know, the next thing I'm going to tell you what the next thing they're gearing up for. Kelly was on the Sunday shows this weekend. Okay.
Yeah, they got a lot of miles left on Kelly.
Well, I think he's worried. I mean, he's doing too many media appearances. He's thinking that'll protect him because he knows he could be. Pete Hegseth's talking about recalling him and court-martialing him.
I think he's going to be recalled, and I think he's going to be court-martialed.
And he should be. I mean, what he's doing.
I think he knows it.
Well, he went on CNN over the weekend, and he's hardly recognizable because he's gotten hair treatments for his whole face, right? You know, he goes for that Mr. Clean look in general, but his face looks...
treatments for his face.
Yeah, with his head. You know, I mean, he does have eyebrows, but to me, he looks like Lex Luthor. You know, a little bit.
Sounds a little bit like him as well.
Yeah, not the Gene Hackman one, the Kevin Spacey Lex Luthor. But he went on CNN yesterday, and you know he's when he's not telling you he's an astronaut, he's telling you he was a fighter pilot. You know, and he was talking about airstrikes that he carried out when he was in the Navy, and he said on CNN over the weekend that if he was given an order when he was in the Navy to take out these drug cartel boats, he would have disobeyed the order, that they're not lawful orders. So he's continuing the sedition, right? And
they're continuing to promote it.
Well, yeah. So the next phase, and see, this is what we're going to find out, is where our disagreement is. Are these people creating these incidents, or are they taking advantage of incident? They keep telling us these are fishermen, right, with no fishing poles, no nets, just sealed barrels and the fastest speedboats that exist, speeding full speed away from Venezuela. The next thing will be they're going to put some fishing poles and fishing equipment on these boats. I
heard that theory that you said. I think you're right on the money with that.
And then we're going to see a woman with children who are going to claim that their fisherman husband was blown out of the water by Trump and Pete Hegseth. That's going to be the next, and they're going to be Venezuelan. That's going to be the next stage of their propaganda war. Yeah.
For our listeners, so that when that happens, you'll know it wasn't a surprise.
No, I mean, I want to be out in front of being the first one to make that prediction, because they can call them fishermen all day, but there's no fishing poles or fishing gear, and they're certainly not commercial fishermen. You know, they don't use speedboats, commercial. You don't even go fishing in a speedboat, right? You know, it goes fishing in these. I don't know what kind of boats these are, but they're like the modern day version of the cigarette boats. You don't go fishing in cigarette boats and stuff like that. Hold on, Steve. I want to answer some of these lines coming in. But this is what I can't figure. Maybe you have an answer for this, Steve. Okay, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Okay. If they would have left President Trump alone in his first term, he'd be retired now, right? His second term would have been over about a year ago. He'd be retired. Why? You know, if he only has this one last term left, why are they going into overdrive, doing such stupid, outrageous things to stop him? Why don't they just let him ride out his term?
You know, an answer for you if you want it. The reason they're doing it is because if they let him go on his own, and the time he has remaining, without distractions, he'll accomplish everything he wants to accomplish.
Yeah.
And that means it threatens their basically their existence.
See, my guess is their internal polling data is showing that the midterms are hopeless for them, and that JD and Marco are incredibly popular to be the president in the next elections. And they don't see any path other than doing this monkey business to have a chance of getting back in power.
Well, but it's a two-step process. One is knocking him out of power, and then taking that event, and then parlaying it into a victory in the election.
All right.
That's what they're doing.
Well, let me give out the number. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631.
And if anyone saw that if anyone saw that
Victor Davis Hanson?
David Hanson show with Mark Levin, he put it perfectly. I wish I'd written it down, but I didn't get his wording.
I didn't see it, but I know what people are saying is what I've been saying, and I imagine Victor Davis Hanson said a version of this. They're trying to create a color revolution in the United States. That this is
exactly right.
Yeah.
And also the riots in New York that occurred over the weekend.
Yeah.
That wasn't spontaneous.
No.
That's all paid for.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let me take a call or two as we approach the top of the hour. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah. All right. Let me take a call or two as we approach.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You're on the.
Hey, I'm Ian, and I'm calling from Germany.
All right, Germany.
Where are you calling from?
Turn down the volume in the background.
Yeah, I thought that too, yeah.
Okay, what's on your mind?
What city, first of all, what city are you from in Germany?
What?
What city are you from in Germany?
I'm from Dingolfing.
I'm from where?
Dingolfing.
Okay, whatever. All right, what's on your mind, Germany?
Here we go. Set up call.
Oh, boom. The seminar call. You know, the thing about seminar callers...
Did he hang up?
Yeah, he hung up. I didn't hang up on him. He hung up. He hung up. I didn't hang up on him. You know, the thing about... I just want to tell people what they are. Rush Limbaugh coined this term, seminar callers. And we use it a lot without explaining what it is, and people that didn't know Rush don't know what that is. Seminar callers, it's not just that they're not necessarily fake callers or trolls or crank callers, whatever you want to call them. They're people that the opposition put out there to call shows to try to get narratives going, false narratives going, distract.
They're trained.
Yeah, but we're better than the average person when it comes to this, so they don't do so well around here. And a lot of people, I hear this from people in the audience. They're like, you guys don't seem to get upset. No, I don't. I consider the seminar callers a badge of honor. It's a sign of our success that we've reached a level where the DNC is like,
well, the way to handle them is simply by getting them off their script. He had a whole spiel he was going to deliver.
Yeah.
And I asked him a simple question: what town in Germany?
He couldn't think of one.
It wasn't on his script.
He couldn't even think of one.
He started stammering and stuttering.
He couldn't even make one up. Berlin, Munich. He couldn't even make one up.
Exactly.
It was like, give me a break.
He tried to make one up, but it was one no one ever heard of.
Exactly, even him. And he kind of mumbled it out because it wasn't even like a real word. It was just more like a throat clearing. But I take that as a badge of honor that the DNC thinks that they need to interrupt our narrative that they think we're putting out there or try to get a false narrative going through us. That's awesome. I appreciate it. But I've noticed that the new wave of seminar callers, the last wave, they were all from Kentucky. The new wave, a lot of them are from other countries. I don't know why they think
Germany's very popular, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Oh, listen to this, Steve. I was over at Friendly Tire in Margate the other day. One of our listeners was there getting used tires.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even tell they were used tires. And Mike said, no, those are used tires. I said, what? You know, the used tires are so good, they look like new. So I said, how much are the used tires? Because, we don't talk about the used tires too much, right? You can get new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. And that's such a good deal, I ignore the used tires. But I said, how much are the used tires? He said as low as $35 a tire. I said, what? For that tire you put? He's like, yeah, as low as $35 a tire. And that's also out the door and on the road as well, because whether it's new or used, Friendly Tire does not charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tires. He's got all the name brands you know and love. Give him a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. All right, we got 1 hour to go. If you're on hold, hang in there. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. Our number is toll-free 1-888-465-2631. We'll be back right after our top of the hour break. All right, I'm going to put you on hold, Steve, for a minute. Hold on. All right, Steve, we got 2 minutes.
Okay.
I'm going to keep you on, so I won't lose you.
Yes. Right. And be careful, because this is where we always lose each other.
No, I got you. Oh, my goodness. Drudge Report.
If you ever get a chance to go to the website of Mark Levin, catch just the end of the last half hour of his show.
Okay. All right, we got about a minute, a little over a minute.
It's unbelievably right on the money. I was trying to get a rerun all weekend and I couldn't find it.
Okay, about 30 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, back on this Cyber Monday. You know, see, the reason I think that this is all this is a coordinated effort is because I'm watching the news so closely, all right? And can I walk you through a couple things with this?
Yeah.
Steve? Okay. And I'd like to, by the way, weekend's over. I'd like to hear from some coherent callers today. We've been a little light on coherent callers. We've had a handful, but mostly it's been, you know, seminar callers and lunatics today. I get it. You know, people got to get back to work. But there's some important things going on. And this goes into what you were talking about, Steve, with the messaging. And I'll start with the shooting on Wednesday, and then I'll give you the updates on what's happening today. I think that they planned the shooting, and the reason they planned the shooting is because it was the day they were trying to create Kent State 2, and Kent State. If you're not familiar with Kent State, catch up, okay? But one thing Kent State was a big turning point in the war in Vietnam, wasn't it? I mean,
yes.
it really turned public opinion. And what's left out of the history of that is those students were attacking the guardsmen. They were throwing things at them and attacking them. I'm not justifying the shootings at Kent State, but they were under attack. They were trying to get a crossfire going to get civilian deaths in D.C. so that everybody Thanksgiving is a holiday that everyone in the United States celebrates. So that on Thanksgiving dinner, everybody would have the game on, but the news breaks would be coming in, and the discussion around the table would have been the Thanksgiving weekend massacre with the guards and with National Guardsmen in a crossfire killing civilians. That was their plan. I go to and by Cyber Monday today, they thought public opinion would be demanding that President Trump bring National Guard back out of these cities where they're stopping crime. I go to the Drudge Report during the break. They got a picture of Pete Hegseth, and it says war crime with a question mark, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to get this narrative going that Trump and Hegseth are war criminals. They're still pushing this sedition. There's a story out there, and this is really disgusting. This is so disgusting. The guardsman, the young girl, 20-year-old that lost her life, whose life was taken by these satanic never Trumpers in D.C. They got one guy who says he knows her that's quoted. I don't even know if he knew her or if he's real, but that she didn't support the mission of the Guard in D.C., which is nonsense. She volunteered to be there and even volunteered to work over the Thanksgiving holiday so people could be with their families. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve, and answer these calls. Okay, you back with me, Steve?
I'm with you.
Okay, good. So everything is in this interview that Kelly did on CNN, where he said he would have, as a combat fighter pilot with the Navy, he would not have followed an order to take out a drug cartel boat. That's an unlawful order. Everything they're doing is to get this war crime narrative going, whether it's the Guard, whether it's all the same. Everything leads to the same thing. Trump and Hegseth are war criminals. Everything they're doing. That's why I think they're behind all these incidents and not taking advantage of incidents that coincidentally happened. But the question is, will the American people believe it? All right, you want to take some calls?
Let's do it.
All right. We want to raise the bar so far as the call quality in this hour, and that's really not asking them a lot compared to what we've had today. All right, so let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Steve and Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
JJ, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. How was your Thanksgiving, Steve?
Excellent.
Excellent, good. Good, mine as well. I listened to Brian over the weekend.
Did you hear this segment with David Hansen?
I'm not sure. I listened to Brian over the weekend.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But what I was going to say is that I believe you're both right about this. I know you're kind of thinking like you disagree, but I think it's just a little bit of minutia there. To me, it's sort of like this Slotkin, this CIA operative who just loves saying CIA operative. She was setting she was prepping for surgery. She was laying down the predictive programming, for this deep state op, just like Bernie Sanders did back in the 2020 election. He was on late night TV and he said, we're going to count all those mail-in ballots at the end of the night, and that's when the Democrats are going to pull ahead. He just prepped everybody for the lie. And when you have, but as far as controlling exactly, I mean, this guy being CIA is just way too. It's way too much of a coincidence.
Yep.
But I think it's sort of a hornet's nest of crazy that that the Democrats' deep state that they put into place. And they don't know exactly what's going to happen, but they just keep poking the nest, and they hope for the chaos so that they could, blame, it's Trump's fault, Trump's chaos, Orange Man bad.
Yep.
Blame Trump for the nest that they planted, but to me, it's definitely it was a CIA deep state operation. I believe that's been going on I said this to Brian over the weekend, that it's sort of an ongoing deep state operation. Everything the Democrats.
Well, they're going to pick up on anything that happens in the events of the news that they can use to discredit Trump, and they're going to. They have a bunch of operatives out there that they've got trained that are sitting waiting to pounce.
Yep, and a lot of them.
And if you have a practiced ear, you can pick them up when they call in. They sound a little bit like Elmer Fudd. When they
really,
yes,
they're in the media. The media is waiting. It's like they get the operation happens, and then the other part of the operation, the media, who loves to spin it. Everything is always blended into this. Somehow it's blame a Republican, and this time it didn't work because they didn't get the collateral damage that they were hoping for. That they really did. They wanted a bunch of civilians to get killed.
I think you're on the money.
Because, Brian, that was his, I think that's what you're both thinking, correct?
Good point. Yep.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, whether it was Victor Davis Hansen or me, but I was, listen.
Yeah.
We'll give you the credit.
Well, I think I got it and said it better than he did, and I did it like 2 days before. But that's okay. I don't need the credit for everything. But
I was with you, Brian. I was there with you. I heard you saying it. I was like, Brian's spot on. I think I even called in your show.
Yeah.
And listen, it was. It's really tough to see these things happen. But the timing.
And I have it here in my notes. Thank Brian for raising a good point.
Yeah. Well, it's just the timing of it. Everybody getting ready to be thankful for a blessed Thanksgiving. And then we have this horrible event, and there's so many things going on in the world. It's just
exactly.
I got to be thankful. I told Brian I had a really
Well,
Have a
listen,
wonderful
we got to
Thanksgiving.
run for the break, but I do appreciate the call. All right, you take
guys.
care.
Take
All
care.
right, take care. All right, I'm going to put you and everybody on hold. We'll be right back. We've been having technical problems today like nobody's business. I've lost the stream connection twice. So but we're back. I know. It's just been a rough day. When I'm having technical problems, it's tough. Hold on. Because I can't focus on, let's see here. Okay, we got about 2.5 minutes. All right, Steve, you there?
Are you there?
Yeah. I lost the connection to the radio station, but we're back now, so we'll be back in a couple minutes.
This is where they usually do their crap.
No, don't. Okay, we got 1 minute.
Okay.
All right, 30 seconds.
It sounds good.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve is here. Let's go back to the phone, Steve, and let's see what we got. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian.
Hey, good morning, Brian.
Yep.
Good morning, Steve. My name is Terry from Kentucky.
Hey,
and,
Terry.
Just wanted, hey, Steve. Good to hear you guys. Listen to you almost every morning out here on the treacherous roads of the highway, being a truck driver, retired military guy too as well. I always like to throw that little plug in there. But you're talking about this media, the media turns and spins as part of these deep state operations. That's a very important part. And here's why. I went through several conflicts in my 21 years, and the first thing our chain of command told us is that, especially when we're getting ready to deploy, tell your families not to listen to the local media or mainstream media, period. And that's very important, because when they, like Brian was saying, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the if the drug boats turned into fishing boats and they get all these actors and such, just like they do at every freaking rally that we have for whatever protest or whatever it is. Same thing. That's a very important. Once something has happened, you know, just like what happened to the National Guard soldiers, bless their hearts, and thank you for their service, and may she rest in peace, and I hope the gentleman gets better and fully functional back in the Army again. However, the media spin, once this thing happens, then they put this deep state media in here to twist it and turn it. That's one of the most effective parts, getting people to fight against each other or get them to believe, you know, that it happened for this reason and not the correct reason.
Well, what they're doing now is, and this started over the weekend, but now it's Monday. It's been a holiday weekend, and they're continuing with it today. They've got some quote from someone who says he was friends with the lady, the girl soldier who was killed by this guy, and she was opposed to the National Guard being in the cities. Now,
that's
give me a
probably
break.
not true.
Exactly.
Probably not true.
But the media are running with that narrative. And even if it gets corrected, the false narrative will have been out there long enough, people will believe it.
That's what
Guarantee
they do.
it. And what I really would like to see, I think Mr. Kelly saying that lightly.
No, we don't need to get what you want to see with that. See, you always got to have the finger close to calls from Kentucky. Remember
No, he was on the right side.
No, he was on the right side, but he was going to say something stupid. See, this is what I'm telling you, Steve. Their operation is so obvious to everyone, it's not working. Their premise is, what they're trying to do is turn public opinion against President Trump. The people that support Trump know what they've done. So it's the same group, right? Those who support Trump still support him. Those who hate him still hate him. They haven't moved the needle with all of this work that they've been doing. They thought, you know, they're so out of touch with reality. The CIA senator, she begins every sentence by telling you she was in the CIA. And she thinks that makes her look good. These are not people that are in touch with reality, right? You know.
Well, they're anti-Trump folk. What do you expect?
Yeah, but they're what's happened here. See, what I'm starting to think is what they're doing isn't so much about Trump. They don't want to have another Trump. You know, this Slotkin, the CIA senator, she doesn't plan on being the president or vice president. She wants to be the secret leader of the deep state behind the scenes for the next 40 years or 30 years or however long. That's what she's running to lead the deep state. Maybe she already does. I don't know. But if everybody knows what they're doing and they haven't moved the needle, is what they're doing going to be effective in the midterms? And I say no. I say no. And time
will tell. We don't know for sure, but it's scary to think about.
Well, so what I was talking about earlier, Steve, Mamdani only won because they were successful, right? Curtis Sliwa shaved off some of the vote, and they had a very low turnout. They had about 16% turnout in New York. And the reason the turnout was so low...
Well, what do you think is going to happen, though, with this Nashville lady?
She's a good chance of winning. She's got a good chance of winning, from what they're saying. I don't know, but maybe not. See,
that's a red state.
Well, what they're doing in Nashville is what they did in New York. Mamdani won for two reasons. Curtis Sliwa was a part of it because he took some of the vote. But the rest of it was convincing people in New York that it was hopeless and he was unbeatable, so they had a low turnout. This special congressional race in Nashville, Tennessee is a similar thing. This girl is insane. She's very immature. She said she hates Nashville. She hates everything that makes Nashville, Nashville. But she wants to be in the Congress, so she's running. They got her on tape saying it, right? And
yeah, it's a joke.
And it's hard for me to believe that she's likely to win, but the media are telling everyone that she's the favorite to suppress the turnout. If they can reduce the turnout against her, they can take her into a victory, they think. So they're telling everyone, yeah, she said these stupid things, but she's still ahead and is still likely to win. So on off year and in special elections, when turnout is low, it doesn't take much to get some idiot like her elected if they convince enough people to stay home. This is what I was telling you. We will do fine in the midterms if we have a huge turnout. If we let them convince us that it's hope.
But that is a question, not a surety.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the turnout's going to be. In fact, the fact is we're on that race, which should be a walkover. It's not a walkover. We're going to be lucky if we win it. And there's no business even being that close.
You're talking about Nashville?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that district. Right?
It's a red district, deep red district.
But it's for her to be a Democrat in a red district and basically tell everybody in Nashville to go F themselves, because that's what she said, right? In different ways. I don't like country music. I don't like Nashville. I don't like Southern Bells. I don't like the Tennessee. I don't like people,
right.
But the media are saying, well, she's still the front runner. That reduces the turnout, and that's how they win. Mamdani got lucky. The primary had a low turnout, and they only had 16% turnout in the general election, right? And they depressed the vote, suppressed the vote, whatever you want to.
Well, I don't know. We're playing with words, but when you say suppress the vote, it obviously suppressed the vote. He just suppressed it by enough for him to win.
Well, if the media convince people that this Nashville girl is still in the lead and people don't bother to show up, she'll win. If they have a good turnout, she'll lose. The low turnout benefits these lunatics, whether it's Mamdani or this Nashville idiot, right? And the media, and as much as we say, well, the new media, the internet's taken over, it was the traditional media that got a low vote turnout in New York that gave Mamdani the final push that he needed to win, and it's the traditional media telling us that this idiot in Nashville is still the front runner. Did you eat a lot over Thanksgiving, Steve?
Yes, I did.
Oh my goodness,
like everybody else.
I pigged out. I had turkey, I had ham, I had stuffing, I had a lot of pumpkin pie. I've got one piece of pumpkin pie left. That's it, and it's all mine. Nobody eat it. I haven't weighed myself yet. But I am going to weigh myself after the show. If I've gained any weight, no problem. I'll just hop back on Coastal Weight Loss Secret, right? I lost 25 pounds in the first 3 weeks. So, guys, I know everybody pigged out over Thanksgiving. If you want to lose that weight before Christmas, before your Christmas party, before your New Year's party, before whatever your family event is, you got time. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. and schedule your no-charge consultation. Remember, they can help you no matter where you are in the United States. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. All right, Steve, I want to put you on hold for a minute.
Okay, be careful.
If you're not there, I'll call you back, okay, when I come back. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Steve, you there?
I'm here.
All right, got 1 minute.
Laura?
Oh, hold on, Steve. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. It is Cyber Monday. So everything's going well other than this this group of seditionists, you know. A couple things, though, over the weekend. Did you see where the Russian peace summit was being held?
Yes, I did.
Hollandale.
Down here.
Yes,
right.
in Hollandale. I don't think anything's ever happened in Hollandale, Florida before. People that aren't from down here don't know. Hollandale is just like an annoying place you drive through. It's I'm surprised, but that's where Marco's been, with Jared Kushner, been holding the talk. But what's going on with Venezuela, have you followed this over the weekend?
I followed what's going on.
Well, President Trump closed down Venezuelan airspace over the weekend, and he sent out this post on True Social. He said, to airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, consider the airspace over Venezuela closed. Okay, so that means they're planning some military action.
Certainly sounds that way.
Or they're trying to convince Venezuela that they're got some military action coming. So it's one of those things. We don't know what it is. The other one, though, is with the leader himself. Maduro was in a conversation with Trump. It's being reported by Fox News and the Miami Herald that he told him to leave the country. And Maduro...
This is safe, but...
Well, Maduro put up all these conditions, like he's in a power position. He said he wants global immunity before he does that. I don't know who he thinks he is or who he's talking to.
Well, it would be more accurate to say he thinks he's in a power position.
Well, he's crazy.
I wouldn't want to be in that power position, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, he should have said, yes, okay, where can I fly to? And,
exactly.
But then Trump did something else over the weekend. And because it was over the weekend, I don't know, a lot of people probably missed it. He pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was sentenced to 40 years for drug trafficking. And he gave him a pardon because it was a federal crime. And of course, anything President Trump does, they're going to take issue with. But it's so obvious what he did. This Honduran president that Trump pardoned over the weekend, he knows how the cartels work. He may even know where they're located. And they obviously pardoned him so that he can work with our military and intelligence agencies for the targeting that they're going to do in Venezuela on the cartels. There's a major action being planned against the cartels, land, air, and sea. I think
everybody knows that except Maduro.
Yeah, I mean, global immunity.
Well, he's got to play it out, go through the motions.
When the president's blowing boats up off your coast and he tells you to get out of the country, you get out. You just say, you just say, where can I fly to? And he's got to have $50 billion in some Swiss bank account somewhere. So go to Switzerland or move to France next door to Roman Polanski.
I'm sure what's taking time is he's arranging his deal.
Yeah, maybe Rosie O'Donnell will take him in Ireland, Maduro.
I think he's got more brains than that.
Do you know she gave did you see this interview that Rosie O'Donnell did with Jim Acosta?
No, I don't think so.
Well, her daughter is autistic, okay? And
right.
Which is, rough, can be rough. She told Jim Acosta that her Trump derangement syndrome suffering has spread to her daughter. That her daughter bangs her fist on the tables at home saying, he made us move here. We're in Ireland because of him and all this. It was, first off, I'm surprised she told the story, but she was like bragging about it. Like she's proud of her daughter that she's got the Trump derangement syndrome.
Well, why would that surprise you? She's demented.
Yeah, she's pretty demented. But Maduro, you know what I'm thinking with Maduro? I don't think he can leave. That these governments in Latin America mostly are puppet governments for the cartels, including the Scheinbaum in Mexico. And they probably won't let him leave the cartels. They're probably with him wherever he's holed up. It's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but I remember
Johnny Cash described it best. You got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him.
That's Kenny Rogers, the gambler.
That's Kenny Rogers. Well, one of those guys I know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's good advice, Maduro, to take it.
But if he can't get out, I think he's being held prisoner by the cartels, and he can't get out. That's okay. We don't need him to get out. He just had to make the offer. But what would the country be like? The United States, not Venezuela. What would the United States be like if the cartels were permanently out of business? Obviously, people are still going to do drugs, but not to the level that they have been, because like anything else, supply and demand.
So what you can hope for is to cut down on the amount.
By a lot. I mean, I'm not a junkie, and I don't know anybody who is right now, but But if you are an illegal drug user, the prices on illegal drugs has had to have skyrocketed in the last 6 months, and
I would think,
especially since they started blowing up the boats, And President Trump may be leading the largest rehabilitation for drug dealer or drug addict program that's ever existed. Because how many people are going to go cold turkey just simply because there aren't as many drugs here and the prices are just prohibitive? They can't steal enough money to buy drugs, and that's a pretty good thing. And there's no doubt that the cartels have killed more Americans than any terrorist group or maybe even foreign country in a war has ever done. There's
well, a lot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and extreme liberals used to always talk about how the deep state was behind the crack epidemic and all that stuff. I'm starting to think they were right with all this movement they're doing to stop Trump from ridding the inner city of crime. And I will say this. This is Kash Patel over the weekend said we have the lowest murder rate nationwide in decades. And the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend, usually there's headlines all over the place about the murders in Chicago, because when there's a long holiday weekend, the parties happen, and that's when the shootouts happen. And I didn't see a single story about that today. I'm not saying no one was shot in Chicago, but it's unusual the Monday after a long 3 or 4 day weekend, which Thanksgiving is, not to have headline stories everywhere about shootings in Chicago. So the murder rate's down nationally. Obviously, the murder rate in Chicago's down dramatically through what they've already been doing with the federal agents there.
Chicago's an interesting place.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on. Who's the mayor of Chicago again? What's his name? Pritzker.
Oh, he's the governor. Yeah, the governor. He's an idiot.
A lot of pressure on him. But,
well,
I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to yield to it. He'd lose too much face.
No.
With his buddies.
No. The Democrats can't go along with anything Trump does, no matter how good of a thing it is. But they've had federal agents there doing roundups for weeks in Chicago. That's why there's not headlines all over the place about the murders. And if you go back through the holiday weekends, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, anytime there's a holiday that gives a long weekend, it's like it's a bloodbath in Chicago. And to not see a single, I'm sure there were shootings, but not like there normally would be in Chicago. And it's all because of Trump. I mean, how many people are alive today because of Trump in this second term alone? How many people have not been murdered? Hundreds.
Yeah, but you won't read that headline in the Chicago papers.
Or any paper, or see it on CNN. No, you just won't. President Trump was talking about his MRI on Air Force One, how they found nothing. I want to talk about Life Imaging FLA, and it's December 1st, and I was telling you guys last week, Life Imaging FLA, this is a great Christmas gift. Everyone has someone in their family who needs to go in and get checked, whether it's for cancer or heart issues. And a lot of people, I used to be like this. They don't go to the doctor because they don't want to know. They think innocence is bliss. Well, innocence leads to heart attacks and cancer that can't be fixed because you've waited too long. Life Imaging FLA offers free heart scans with just a few minimum requirements. It's valued at $699. When you're over there, make sure you ask them about the cancer screening. I had the whole thing. I had the heart scan, I had the cancer scan, and I have no plaque buildup, I have no blockage, and I have no cancer. However, people every day go over there and find out they have over 80% blockage. They're a heart attack waiting to happen, or they have cancer, and they find out about it while they can still do something about it. They're saving lives over there, and you take a relative, your spouse, over there as a Christmas gift, you may be saving their life. They may be here next Christmas, and they may not have been, and they may not have been unless they got that scan. So call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan right now with just a few minimum requirements. Again, valued at $699. From your cell phone, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. That's pound 250, just say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. They have locations in Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. I would think that if he closed down the airspace over Venezuela, had the phone conversation with Maduro, any minute something's going to happen over there. That's going to be big. And I'm watching the news media, and they're saying, he doesn't have the authority to stop these cartel people. If he doesn't have the authority to stop the cartel people, what does he have the authority to do?
Well, that's that same fifth column we were talking about.
That's exactly right. All right, well, listen, we're going to take our break and come back with our first gold report of the month. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane is here. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be right back. All right, I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. Hold on. Oh, my goodness.
Good morning.
Hey, William, stand by. All right, we are back. I'm Brian. Steve is here, and it's time for our first gold and precious metals report for the month of December. On the line, William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca. William Youngerman, how are the metals starting off the month?
Metals are starting off amazing, Brian.
Oh.
This is going to be a Christmas rally that we haven't seen in ever, probably. Friday, while we were closed, the markets were open, and gold traded in a range of $4,154 all the way up to $4,226, and closed out the day up $62 at $4,218.40 on Friday. But get this, silver was up $3.09 on Friday, closing out the week at $56.32 the ounce. And platinum gained $49 Friday, closing out the week at $1,655, and palladium gained $20 at $1,431. So that's a strong finish for the month of November, and December starting off equally strong. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,206 all the way up to $4,265. And right now we're at $4,261 on gold, up $43.60. So that's gain of over $105 in just 2 days. Silver up another $1.28 at $57.61 the ounce. Platinum up $38 at $1,687, and palladium up $16 at $1,449 the ounce. So the markets are still saying people want something that's real and something that's a hard asset that they can that they have a true store of value, and not something up in the sky.
No doubt.
Or a piece of paper.
Is $60 silver a realistic goal?
$60. Not only is it real, $60 silver is not only realistic. It's probably we're probably going to see that this week at the rate things are going, with no problem. Yeah.
Oh man, those 90%. Half dollars are worth a lot of money today that we were talking about.
Yes, indeed.
Listen, William Youngman, oh my goodness. William Youngman opens up at 10 a.m. He doesn't just sell the metals, he buys them. So if you have anything made of the metals at these prices, if you're looking for some extra Christmas money, great time to turn that old gold and silver jewelry you're not wearing anymore, that's broken, that's ugly, that's out of date, into some cash. Give William Youngerman a call, toll free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. His address in Boca is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And find both his address and phone number on his website, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thanks.
All right, take care. All right, Steve, are you back with us?
I'm with you.
Okay. These things that are going on with past, I'm just talking about Republican presidents. With past Republican presidents, we've never had a president like this, okay?
That's for sure.
There's been a lot of these fake Republicans going around saying, pretending, I voted for Trump, but I'm an America First guy, and he's not America First. There has never been such an America First president as this. The other presidents, they've gone to war over minor things all over the planet. We've never had a president that put Americans first like this, whether it's what we were talking about with Venezuela and the cartels, everything we're talking, very pro-American agenda. But these are things, I keep referring to them as universally good things, right? Stopping the drug cartels from bringing poison that's killing Americans every day into the country. That's a universally good thing. He said over the weekend he's working on eliminating the federal income tax. That
would be the best.
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine the economic boom that would be? So.
Well, there didn't used to be an income tax.
Yeah, I know. Well, there has been my whole life. But you look at the things that the Democrats are arguing against. they're arguing again with other Republican presidents. A lot of what they did, even though we might have supported it, there was an argument on the other side. They may have been wrong, but I could see them making an argument. These are things, a lot of people, as an example, on abortion, a lot of people on the left are misguided over abortion and don't even know that it's an unborn child in the womb. They get brainwashed. Who could be against eliminating the income tax? Who could be against eliminating the cartels bringing drugs into the country?
I think we're going to find out.
Yeah, and even this new thing in Florida with that we're going to eliminate property taxes, which, by the way, is only on your homestead property, like your personal home. So like your home would have no taxes. My home would have no taxes. If you buy a second property that's a rental house or something, there would be property taxes, or a commercial property. It's only on your homestead. They're going to argue against that. The Democrat Party is turning into this Democrat socialist loser party where they're fading away in the night because they're going against things that no reasonable person would be against. There's no credible argument against bringing down the drug cartels and stopping them.
By the way, the thing about doing away with the income tax, has Trump, have we heard that out of Trump's mouth yet?
Yeah, he said over the weekend he wants to eliminate the IRS. Yes, he said it over the weekend.
Did he want to, or did he say he's going to?
That's what he's working towards doing, he said.
That'd be nice.
Oh, my goodness. If we didn't have, Steve, if we had no income tax and no property taxes, oh my goodness, we'd be rich.
Yeah, but what would be going on in society?
I don't know. A lot of spending because people would have more money in their pocket. Sounds pretty good to me. I mean, that would be life-changing for a lot of people.
I suppose, especially people that have gold and silver.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, be good for everybody. But, when you, like as an example, when Bush GW was president, and he was talking about privatizing 1% of your Social Security into private investment accounts. Okay, that seems like a very technical issue, but liberals were against it because they're always against what Republicans do. But you could make a case, the stock market, you don't know, putting the money, it's safe in Social Security, With these things, there's no you sound stupid opposing them, right? And that's where a lot of the craziness comes in. Like, I was watching Stephen Miller's wife. Stephen Miller's very good, and his wife is as good as him almost. And she was on CNN over the weekend, and they were calling her husband a Nazi, right? And she says, well, I'm a Jew. What kind of Nazi's married to a Jew? And it still didn't even occur to them on the CNN panel that there's a conflict between being a Nazi and being married to a Jew. They've lost their minds on the left to a level where they've never lost them before. And I don't believe that our MAGA movement's divided. They're doing things. They got Marjorie Taylor Greene to resign. I saw this other MAGA House members not running for re-election. So they're trying to create some races that are in play by getting people like that not to run for re-election, so we lose the incumbency, which can, benefit the opposing party. And the reason that this woman in Nashville is a favorite to win is because the left and the Never Trumpers need her to win so bad, because if they can get her to win in a red city, in a red state.
Well, it would have presumably a large effect on the midterm.
Well, that's how they're going to present it. So they have, the forces against Trump have so much. See, when Mamdani won and these other races recently, those were all in blue cities, blue states. It was expected.
Right.
If you get this lunatic woman to win in Nashville, a red city in a red state, and she's a Democrat who said these crazy things, okay, they'll say, oh, look, MAGA's over. Look at this. Red state, red city, Democrat, lunatic, liberal won. And by the way, she supported the people burning down the police stations during the Black Lives Matter Summer of Love. Okay? And this is all over the place. So the reason she's a favorite is because the Never-Trumpers need her to win to keep pushing their agenda. So they're going to do everything they can do to make that happen. So if she happens to win, I wouldn't read too much into it. You know, I wouldn't. And I don't know if it's true that she's favorited to win. I know the media keep telling us that, you know, but...
but you wouldn't be shocked.
No, because it's you know, these congressmen that made the video, all the people that killed Charlie Kirk, all this stuff is important to their game of stopping Trump, right? So they need, if she wins, they figure we can't write it off. Like Mamdani, we said, so what? A Democrat won in New York, big deal. You know, that's no statement against Trump.
Well, it still requires the MAGA forces or the pro-Trump forces to go against Trump, and I mean that. I can't believe we're that apathetic that we let that happen.
You know, Ben Shapiro's media organization, the Daily Wire.
What a jerk that guy is.
Isn't he? I know. You know, he lives not far from me. We live in the same neighborhood, Ben Shapiro and I. Different developments, I promise you, but you know, but in the same neighborhood. But the Daily Wire is located in Nashville, and while Ben Shapiro's in Florida, all these people that work for him, these big media people that you hear about, they're in Nashville. So there's a big, strong, conservative media presence in Nashville, and I haven't seen them out there. I mean, I would think they'd be in the streets. It makes me, I wonder why they're, you know, saying, hey, we need to, you know, make sure she doesn't win.
It's not, whether they're in the streets isn't the question. The question is, are they going to be in the voting booth?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Before we go, Steve, I want to tell everyone, if I can find the number. I got to find the number to tell people about it. Oh my goodness, I can't find the number. Hold on. Oh yes, okay, here it is. I just want to tell everybody, the Friendly Tire in Margate, used tires as low as $35 a tire out the door and on the road. New tires as low as $75 a tire. And used tires as low as $35 a tire out the door and on the road. Because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, and dispose of your old tire. And by the way, those are on common sizes that are on some of the most common vehicles on the road to get today. Give Friendly Tire a call. Friendly Mike will give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate, which the tires on your car, Steve, are from Friendly Tire in
Yes,
Margate.
they are.
So back to just to finish up with this. President Trump invited both of the families of the guardsmen to the White House. And it was reported this morning that the other guardsman, that he's expected to survive. Thank the Lord.
Yes.
But the reporting has been that the deep state Islamic Afghan terrorist targeted the woman because she was a woman. And this is what I was talking with Richie about. And there's a debate going on about this, that they were trying to garner sympathy by him shooting a female. And yeah, I mean, you know, I think by the end of the week, you're going to agree with me that this is not just some coincidence incident. You know, I was going to go to Washington, D.C. for the 4th of July this year, for the 250th with my daughter, and I'm thinking it may not be a good idea. I'm thinking about not doing it, you know.
I think you're smart.
4th of July in D.C. is really cool. I've been there for it, but the 250th is a pretty big deal, right? I won't be alive for the 300th unless I live to be 105.
I would stay away from crowds. I think it's a very volatile time.
Mm-hmm.
Not a time to put on fancy shows.
No, it's not. Well, it's going to happen, but I don't think I'm going to go. You know, the hotel I was thinking of staying at was right there where the shooting was, kind of close to there, because it's like right down the street from the White House. Well, listen, that's all the time we have for today. It is the new week and the new month. And it is now December 1st already. The year has gone by fast, and it's been a year of winning with President Trump. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. My name is Brian Craig. Steve Kane, of course, has been here as well. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., with a lot more to talk about. This has been the busiest Thanksgiving weekend I've ever seen. Take care. God bless America. God bless Trump. See you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. All right, Steve, I will call you in a bit.
Yes, okay. I'll wait for your call.
All right, take care. All right, guys. Hey, listen. Thanks for tuning in today. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, all right? My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care.